Before we get started, I'd like to introduce our speakers. So today we have Sujatha Ramanujan. She's the Managing Director of Luminate here with us today. We also have Andy Simon. He's the Director of Operations, and Damon Deal, our Technology Program Manager, here to talk with you. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Sujatha and have a great info session.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our overview of Luminate. We're going to cover who we're looking for, like what are the types of companies and what are some of the advantages of participating, what the application process is, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So keep your questions. We're really excited to answer them. First of all, what is Luminate? Luminate is both an investment fund and a startup accelerator that are tightly paired. It is the world's only accelerator that's for optics, photonics, and imaging startups, and the enabled applications. So what we've created here is an accelerator that is very, very specific to OPI companies, offering them the training, the coordination, and the assistance that they need in their industry. We can go to the next slide. So we do have a little video that we can share with folks, and that's at luminate.org. We're not going to do it right now, but it's kind of a fun video. You can see, some of the companies, what people have been working on, and how Luminate operates. So we encourage you to go take a look at it. It's nice. So let's start by talking about what exactly we're looking for. We are looking for visionary entrepreneurs. So we really are looking at who are you? And our space is not market limited. It's anything that's optics, photonics, or imaging enabled. So that can include things like augmented and virtual reality from the image processing, as well as the actual hardware, autonomous vehicles, and all the different aspects of autonomous vehicles, from LiDAR substitutes to how is data processed. Machine vision is a very important part of the OPI industry, as is image processing in general. There are quite a few biophotonics applications, including those in pharmaceutical research. We're looking in the life sciences and medical tech. We look at display technologies, camera technologies, healthcare, and many more places. We have a lot of clean tech, clean energy that are optical photonic imaging and material science based that are very, very exciting. And sometimes something doesn't fit into any clear category, and you've got this wild new market. And we've had a company come to us with a optical sensor for apparel that's doing quite well. So we just don't want to tell you what your market is. We want you to know what your market is, but come to us with your exciting ideas and let us help you. So the process to join Luminate is competitive. You have until January 10th to apply. It's not a difficult application, so just go online and fill it out. If you have questions about the application process, do contact us. We bring in 20 to 25 of the teams from applications that we've seen to pitch for us and compete for the 10 spots that we do have. And this program begins in April. So we say compete for 10 spots. There are 10 companies that are formally in the program. We also sometimes have a couple that are auditing or runners up in case somebody drops out of the program and goes further. And I'm actually going to call attention to that, because last year's grand prize winner started out the year before as a runner-up company and then ended up taking the whole competition the following year. So next slide. So our portfolio itself consists of 40 companies, right, to date. 93% of them are still in business, which is actually really, really good. We have 17 or 18 that are minority or women-run businesses. It is not a specific required goal of ours, but we do look to keep a good eye on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We like to think of ourselves as fair and would like to offer opportunities to people. The combined worth of the companies currently in our portfolio exceeds $300 million, and we are seeing about a 3-to-1 funding ratio, meaning that if we say we've put out 15-20 million, about 3 times as much has been brought in by other outside investors and grants that match or exceed the amount of money that we've put in post-investment, meaning that Luminate is a very attractive thing to have in your portfolio. When you say Luminate, it does actually attract a lot of investors. I'm going to talk a little bit about financial support. I probably should talk a little bit about the accelerator. I went a little fast through that. So I'm going to go through financial support and then tell you what the accelerator itself does. For the 10 companies that we take into the program, we begin by giving a $100,000 investment. That investment is typically in the form of a safe note, but if you have some issue, you have a round open, you're closing a round or something, come and talk to us. We're not stuck like glue. from there, you work through the 6 months of the program in this accelerator in which we bring you a lot of custom pieces. Now, there are a lot of accelerators out there, and they'll have HR and a little bit about finance and how do you build a business model. We will go into some extreme detail about all of those things, but we will do it with a very clear eye on your business and optics, photonics, and imaging. We'll bring in manufacturing experts, supply chain experts. We talk to all of our companies and find out what it is they need. So one year we were very heavy on medical device, and there were quite a few companies that asked us about billing and coding. So we brought in people to talk about how do you get in CPT codes and things like that. So we really try hard to listen to what it is that your company specifically needs. This is not a cookie cutter. This is designed to you, which is really critical. So like material science companies come and tell us they need to know supply chain, including industrial sewering. So we're out there figuring it out for you. You'll also, at the end of 6 months, we do put in up to $1 million into one company and put out about $2 million of follow-on funding. Not every company gets follow-on funding. That doesn't mean we don't believe in every company. We are an investment fund, so we have to hedge our bets and balance our portfolio and do such things. But once we put you in, once we give you $100,000, we think of you as family. And from that day forward, you need our help, you have our help. You can call us from wherever you are and say, I need supply chain help, or I need to meet this. Do you have access to this customer? I'd really like to meet them, or please fix my pitch. In some cases, we've gone back and done follow-on investments or picked up companies that we couldn't originally invest in. So we really do act like a fund, a good one. We're the nice guys. We also give you the opportunity to pitch to over 30 other investors within and outside this region, including organizations like Sony, Applied Materials, Corning, Samsung, J&J, Launchpad. The list is very long because our contacts are pretty deep, and we do actually make sure that you get a chance to, as a Luminate company, not as part of some giant production, pitch these companies, have some access. So one of the other things that we do is we have a very renowned advisory board, and you can see from this list, this is the list of people along with me and Damon and Andy here who select the company to join the program and then do all of the diligence work to decide who gets follow-on investment. Also, during the course of the program, each company is assigned 3 mentors from this list. And sometimes we will, if you have specific needs, say you're a medical device company or you're working in a particular space, we will go out and find you a really leading mentor in that space to help you through that time period with those things that you need to progress in your company. You can form really good relationships. Many of these relationships have lasted well past the program, and these are advisors have sat boards and helped companies exit. I'm just going to go through a quick list here. So Jennifer Bunis came from a startup, built a laser company, is an expert at headhunting. Milton Chang, if you're in the world of optics, he's kind of a god. Everybody knows who Milton Chang is. Started Newport and other companies. Stu Elvey, also very well known. He's with the Madison Square MSG Ventures now. Steve Fantone is the founder and president of Opticos. Don Galini was the founder, and now he's with Seneca Ventures. And Mike Jackman has been with a variety of different medical device companies, very senior. Jay Cumler is the president of Genoptics. Duncan Moore is the vice provost at the University of Rochester and the Institute of Optics. And Ryan Ravelli is the VP of research for RIT. Darius is the managing director of Innovation Capital. And Jim Sinal is the president of Nextcore. Linda Smith is the president of Cirrus, which is really excellent for M&A and acquisition. And I realized that with Don Galini, I didn't tell you what company he founded. He founded QED. Sorry about that. But every one of these people has really a in-depth background in starting and building businesses in this industry. We also bring in expert OPI mentors from various walks of life, and we give you access to the New York State Photonics Cluster. That's about 150 OPI companies in the region that can help form your supply chain. They also give you guidance on how most of these people have built their own businesses. But it's really hard when you're starting to do everything yourself. So if they're excellent partners to you in many, many ways. So with that, I'm going to say a word about the accelerator again. The accelerator is very, very unique. And many people who've done other accelerators and have come to us and said it's hands down the best. And if they've done others, they're like, and it's the last one we'll ever do because this was the best. We're not picking up anything from anywhere else. We're also recognized by Optica and SPIE and all the industry leaders as the name in the accelerators in this industry. So it's really worth the effort. So with that, I'll turn this over to my partner in crime here, Damon Deal, to talk about the regional resources and facilities.
So I'm going to kind of play off of what Sujatha just said as far as why we are unique. And if you are building an instrument that has optics in it, so I guess one thing to understand is that I have a PhD in optical engineering. Sujatha is also a PhD. So you're working with some scientists when you're talking about the leadership here. If you're developing a instrument with optics, then you have design requirements that you may not even realize, and they're significant. So we do a few things here, and we will, for one thing, work very hard. Well, let me just get into your problems first. And you're also going to have problems probably with some of the more expensive equipment. And this all leads to long lead times for you, and that can eat into your budget, and it eats into your time, and most important, as a startup, it's going to eat into your runway. So we do a couple of things to help people here. And the first thing I'm going to do is talk about some of the equipment that we have. And we have our own lab facility here. So if you're working hands-on with your hardware, then we can help you with that. We have our own laboratory that is built out of equipment that Sujatha has stolen from previous jobs. We have a fabrication lab that has a multitude of 3D printers. We have a wet lab, which is an unusual thing to be able to have access to. This entire building that we're occupied in, we're an accelerator, but we're inside of an incubator. So you have access, if you want. We have a couple of companies that went ahead and just bought office space while they were here. And we also have a media lab. We have a couple of experts who shoot videos for us, and the marketing people here do video blogs. There's all sorts of materials that we do for promotional material that we're able to do here on site. And the other thing I want to talk about is the region as a whole and why we try to bring people into here. And what you're seeing on this picture is this enormous network of interlocking businesses that are here in New York State. And it's really unique. So you're talking about businesses and laboratories and universities, and these all work together so that you can get things done faster than you would be able to get them done in other areas. When you're talking about any kind of unique piece of optical instrumentation you'd be working on. And the specific things that people get out of here is we can give you support for design here. And the obvious thing is sort of optical design, but there's also mechanical and electrical engineering here. And more valuable is electro-optical and electromechanical design. That's a very difficult combination to find, and we have a lot of people here who do that. And the other thing we're going to help you with here is design for manufacturability. If you've done an instrument and you've got to work in the lab, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to make it the way that you've done it before. And when you're talking about optics, that is a very, very strong consideration. And once you have that design done, we're able to hook you up with contract manufacturers who can help you build prototypes all the way out to setting up some manufacturing in the long run. We have research and development facilities that are available around here at the universities, at some of the public laboratories. And with the universities, that also gives you a rich font of interns and co-ops. And they're going to be specialists in things like imaging and optics and photonics, OPI as we call it. And to get an idea of kind of the scope of what we do here is Rochester's had 3 startups that you've probably heard of before, and those are Bausch & Lomb, and then Kodak, and then Xerox. That's just the kind of place that Rochester is. We grow businesses like that. And we have companies now that are growing to be that kind of a company. And we would love for you to come here and work to be one of those companies too.
Okay, well, I'll take over and start talking about the applying to Luminate, and then remember, we'll do some Q&A afterwards as well. So, hi, my name is Andy Simon. I'm the Director of Operations at Luminate. And as you can see, we're a small, tight team that puts a lot of effort into all the companies that apply and go through the program. So we'd love to have you apply. So let me go through some of the components that we're looking for companies that apply. They must be incorporated with 2 dedicated full-time team members. That's got to be C-level or decision maker, what we'll call them, working on the company. It's just a challenge if you're a solopreneur to really do something that generally has hardware involved as well as the software solution. In terms of the tech, we're looking for tech that's proven, at lab scale. So you've got to be able to be ready to do an MVP. You could also be already out in the market selling it right now. So we really have a wide range of stages of companies that we invest in and bring in the program. Really it's good to balance the portfolio, and it also is good because it allows us to do different things at different stages for each company. And then the last and probably most important is that we need to have C-level members that are able to participate in the accelerator. And in the past, it's been completely on site. And then obviously with COVID, we've gone over to fully remote. And then last year, or last cohort, I should say, we ended up going mostly remote, and then we did a little bit of in-person, so a hybrid. And so we're going to be looking to do that this year, as long as things stay the way they are and hopefully improve. And so what that'll look like is we're thinking 1 week a month, we'd have all the teams come into Rochester, and we do intensive one-on-ones. You'd get to meet other people within the cohort. We make introductions to XYZ company that can help you with, supply chain or whatever the need is. So that's how I would plan on the program. And then generally we do programming Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that would be all your remote pieces. One last thing I'll mention is, yes, we're saying roughly a week in Rochester a month. 1 month it could be that we're going to Boston and we're going to pitch to Boston investors, or we could be in San Francisco pitching to San Francisco investors. So it won't necessarily all be in person in Rochester. So the application process is actually pretty easy. We've done this now, I think 3 years on F-Success. So we have our application hosted on F-Success, which a number of you probably already know because tons of accelerators and incubators use them. So to get to it, just go to our website at luminate.org/apply or hit the apply button, and that'll take you right over to F-Success, where you create your own. If you're not already a member, you just create a free profile, that basic things, your company, your organization structure, your technology. And then for the application itself, which is a fairly easy application, the only thing that we ask for in the end is a quick short video. And that can be done as selfie style, or just holding very basic production. We don't care about the production. We care about, can the founder, in their own words, tell us the story of their company and why they should be selected to come to Luminate. And if you have a tech demo, I highly recommend throwing that in at the end, or adding a link to the application, just making sure that we see that as well, because that's obviously a great thing to have if you're at that stage where you can do demonstrations. So on the application, you're going to tell us about the problem you're solving. Pretty straightforward. Why your technology is unique and differentiated. And part of that can be mentioning who your competitors are, or who you feel your competitors will be, and why you think that you would be able to stand out and grab market share from them. And then lastly, what do you hope through to achieve when you're at the accelerator? Because everybody's got different goals. And if it's to get to milestone 2, then that's what we need to focus on to help you get there. If it's to get to sales or whatever the case is, that's what we put on sort of the path that we go to help you get there. So the timeline is, as mentioned, the applications are open right now, but they close on January 10th. And then we will down select, as Sujatha mentioned, to the 20-25 teams that'll present to the team and to our board. And then we select the finalists on March 1st. The accelerator begins first week in April, which I believe is that April 4th. And then it goes through September, and that's where we have our finals, where we do the $2 million of follow-on funding. So that's it for this webinar, minus the questions and answers. But we do have 2 other webinars coming up that are really really interesting, especially the first one, which is how did Luminate advance my startup? And that's basically a panel of former cohort members of CEOs that have actually gotten follow-on funding, and we have CEOs that have not received follow-on funding but ran through the program. So you get a whole different look at Luminate. You get it from the inside and from the people who were there. So if you're a company in the UK, for example, or Europe, we'll have somebody that can talk to how it was to be able to run through the program if you're not based in this time zone or not based in this country. So I think that's a really good one. That's December 8th. And then finally on January 5th, I'll be doing sort of open office hours, I should say, for the application. So if you have any questions on the application, I'll give some tips on how I think you can position different things to make sure that we notice them and make sure we're noticing the right things, and then answer any questions that you have. And that's going to be, as I said, January 5th. So with that, let's open it up to Q&A. If you do have other questions or you don't feel comfortable putting it out in the group, just email us at info@luminate.org. And you can obviously go to our website and get it at luminate.org as well. There we have a FAQ section. So I will bring back Kate, I believe, who's going to throw out questions to the group.
Sure thing. And there's actually been a couple of questions that Sujatha has already answered through text. So Jeremy asked, we are a startup software platform dealing with the data and process management of optical design, including cloud scale, ray tracing, and analysis. Have you had pure software companies within your program? Sujatha's answer is yes, we have. So VPG Medical was a member of our third cohort and received the second place follow-on funding investment, does image processing off of data that is grabbed from iPads and phones. So to answer that question, yes, we've had pure software companies within the program. Another question that has already been answered, and then I will throw it over to open questions. Could you define and give an example of lab-proven tech from your perspective? Sujatha answered, Rubidetection, which is another cohort 3 company, has a handheld bedsore detector. She had built 2 units in her university work and had data to show the concept worked. So I don't know at that point if, Damon, you wanted to add on to lab-proven tech, or if you think that question is thoroughly answered.
I think that covers it. Basically, you don't have to have something that looks marketable, but it needs to be something that can make a compelling case that the physics works, because we're going to check.
So I'm gonna make a comment about that, because there's a slight difference between incubators and accelerators. We are not looking for a concept you haven't tried yet. We're looking for a concept that you have at least mocked something up and made sure it works. Because what we're not here to correct your science. We hope that when we take a company, we do check that you're correct, but we don't come here to fix your science. We're here to help you fix a business and help you make a product manufacturable. So if you're in that really early stage, we'd suggest that there are things like iCore and others that can help you get further along. But once you have like a prototype, you want to know that the concept works when you come to us. And then we
I'm sorry, if I could add just one piece. We're talking about a very early stage when we're talking about proven at lab scale and what Sujatha is going through. We have companies that are with, on the spectrum of, they're already in the marketplace and have sales, or they're at the lab proven stage. So we actually work with companies at all different stages. And I know I mentioned that earlier, but I think it's to be very interesting to go and look at our portfolio of companies and just see where they are and see how you feel that you align towards them.
I mean, the biggest thing is we look to see is, can we help you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Another question that's come up. I think they're asking, so is it a requirement that the 2 dedicated team members need to be C-level? I think he's referring to the 2 people that the 2 people that need to be part of the team. Do they have to be C-level?
I'm going to take a shot at. They don't specifically have to be C-level. They have to be decision makers. So we were asking you not to send us an intern to take a class on like sales, because they can't actually do that. But if you say, suppose you have a VP of sales and they want to do the sales seminar or the go-to-market piece, fine. We just want to make sure the person that you're sending to something can actually do something with it.
And to add to that, I should have mentioned it earlier, we have rotating members. So I'll just use C-level just because it's easier right now. But maybe in the first month, we're going to be focusing on sales and marketing, for example. And so that's really where your CEO would want to be, and any other team members. You don't have to have just one person attend. But the next month, we could be doing something on tech or manufacturing. Maybe your CTO would be the better person to be here for that on-site training. So again, it can be a rotating member as well, so that you can actually expose your entire company to all the benefits that we can potentially do for you from Luminate side.
Okay, so what else was that?
Oh, sorry. A quick question that I can answer. We are a startup based in Egypt. Do you accept startups outside of the US? Yes, we do.
We had a company from New Zealand, which is as far out of the United States as you can.
Yes.
There's a question, how many of the 10 companies that get in the program, how much get follow-on funding? That really varies. We've done anything from 4 to 6 to, and sometimes we've gone back and picked up a company like 2 years later that we couldn't invest in. So yeah, it's quite a few.
I mean, you're almost at minimum 40% are getting follow-on funding, which is unheard of, I think, in the accelerator
Many
world.
will get even more. And you realize that we start out by writing $100,000 check. So the minute we write that check, we really need you to succeed because we don't want to lose our money either. Okay. Lab scale AWS backend handheld prototype. That's lab scale or better. When we say lab, I mean, when saying lab scale, we just don't want people to feel like you have to have your DFX done and you're ready to ship your product. If you're not, that's okay. If you are, great, we'll help you do that too. So,
if I can jump into I heard you mention AWS, so they're obviously on there. What I didn't mention yet was there are a lot of benefits being part of Luminate. You get AWS credits. We actually have we give you a login to PitchBook for your entire time that you're within the program. And that's a huge value. And if you're not familiar with PitchBook, it's where you can go do all the research on all the different private equity and venture capital and accelerator deals and see who invested in what, have contact information. It's an extremely valuable piece. And then we have some other, HubSpot and other different software benefits for being part of the accelerator.
At this point, I just want to share that the portfolio link is in the chat. For anyone who has not submitted a question yet, I see another one coming in. We have developed a next generation novel, nausea-free VR headset prototype. One has to try it to understand and feel the difference. For our prototype, we do not and cannot get data, but rather user feedback. Does that qualify?
it absolutely does. I actually know exactly what you're talking about because when I worked at Kodak, we built a full 3D immersion AR system. And it was fantastic. It was for it cost a gajillion dollars at least. You could use it to simulate flight for this, that, and the other. And it pretty much made some people really sick. And so we used to have to project a light grid for them in the background to make sure they didn't lose perspective. And to your point, data, what do you measure? How nauseous is somebody sitting in the cockpit? No, we asked people how comfortable they were they able to stay in there for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. No, I get that. So that's good.
Yeah, if the feedback is from your customers and you have, Lockheed Martin or whomever saying, hey, this is great. Well, that goes a long way towards to advancing yourself here. I
see a question about, can we help you find a co-founder? We certainly can point you in the direction of co-founders. It's a trickier thing because a co-founder, you want to have a good relationship with them. You don't, it's not somebody you want them to really be into your business. So while we certainly can provide introductions, in the end, you really have to feel like that person is the right person for you. And I have done that for at least for one company, put people in front of them and said, you need a partner. And here are some candidates, but it's a bit like, I don't know, like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I don't want to make that decision for you. You'll have to really make sure you like the person.
Okay, so we are winding down.
Oh, wait, we have one more.
Okay.
You support people who do not yet have a company, but an IPR on an invention. That's usually a little early for us. but you know, we certainly can review the application if it's faster prototype. We could also, if we reviewed the invention, we can, if it's not for us, we can actually point you to who can help you. So I would suggest you apply and let us look at it, because we've taken some fairly early stage stuff. We have to, in the end, have something that we can put the money in. So when we write $100,000 check, that investment has to go into an entity. I can't give people personal checks. So that's just something to keep in mind.
To Sujatha's point about applying, our first year when we had our first cohort, we had a company come in, they pitched us, and they didn't get selected to move on into Luminate. The second year they came back, they came with more data, they hit more milestones, they still didn't make it. The third time they came in, they got into Luminate and they won the whole thing. So applying early is never a bad thing to get on our radar and start conversations.
And that particular company, they approached us and they asked us, you know, for feedback after the application, why didn't they get in? And we gave them the information. The second time they were very close, but they didn't quite make it. And so they said, they took the alternate position. They took all the classes and everything and reapplied. So to answer how many times can you apply to Luminate, you can apply as many times as you want. Once you are in the program and we put money into you, we probably won't take you a second time for the same company. But if you didn't get money from us, then yeah, go right ahead and apply.
I'm sure as soon as I start talking, another question will emerge, but
I'm also going to make a comment, and that comment is, if you have a question about whether you are right for Luminate, just apply. It's not a difficult application. It doesn't cost you anything, and you will get a response from us, which will only help you. When we take a company in, that's great. When we don't, we also explain to you why and what you need to do. So we look forward to reading exciting new wonderful things that people are doing.
It looks like we've answered all the questions that have come in, but if one does come up for you afterwards and you'd like to shoot us a note, you can do so at info@luminate.org, as you see on the screen there. Andy mentioned earlier that there are 2 other info sessions coming up over the next few weeks. You can go to our website, luminate.org, to find the information there to register. We hope to see you for those. So team, at this point, if we're ready to wrap, we'll close it out. Thank you everybody for joining us. Again, you'll get the recording in your inbox later today, and we hope to see your application.